As the prof hands out the test, what do you do first?
We'll definitely read the directions first because that's always a big part of it.
Well, with any test, first thing you want to do is read the instructions.
But one of the problems has to do with they don't follow instructions. Just to give you an example, I had a student who answered all 4 of the questions. He didn't read the instructions. The instructions were listed below are 4 essay questions. With authority, you are to respond to only one of these questions, and that student answered all 4.
And by doing so, that student wasted precious time he should have devoted to one answer and a better grade. Doing too much is one problem. Too little is another.
I would never turn in a test early. And I had some students who simply, I hate math tests, I don't want to be in here, I'm just going to get rid of this so the pain is over. And they'll find out that they actually skipped problems that they didn't even know. They missed it and they left it blank because they didn't look carefully at it. And their anxiety did them in.
As you check through the pages, note the point values for each question or section.
First, you want to look through the pages to see, okay, is there a part that has 2 points, or is there a big essay at the end? And that's one thing that teachers often do. The test is worth 100 points, and this essay is worth 50 of those 100. So you want to leave yourself plenty of time to do that essay.
That's what graduate student Rachel Copeland urges students to do in her study skills class.
I encourage my students to divide their time with the amount of points. So build a quick ratio, so they're not stuck on a lower point problem for the most amount of time.
One more thing about time.
Make sure that you've got a watch, because not all rooms have a clock or a clock that's accurate in there.
Next, focus on the question.
I think the most important thing about the essay is figuring out what you need to answer.
Before I write a word, I read the question, and I read it again and again and again until I really understand what the question is asking of me.
I think you have to analyze the question and take a look at the verbs and see just what is the professor asking you to do in that question.
That's another lesson in Rachel Copeland's class.
Let's read question number 2. I ask them to underline their action verbs so they know exactly what they need to be getting at.
Does the question want you to list, label, diagram, apply, analyze, assess, interpret, etc.?
Take a look at the verbs and see, what does that verb really want us to do?
Next, you're facing the world's longest essay question. What do? Here's how Melissa and Alexa deal with complex, multi-part essay questions.
Well, first when I read the question, I'll probably have my heart do a little flip-flop and I'll be a little nervous. But then you have to realize that in this long question, there are individual concepts that you can break down.
If it's an essay test, you want to read every part. And if it's commas, that probably means that they want more than one thing there. So you might want to draw a line through the different sections so that you can make sure that you've covered everything that particular essay question is asking for.
Here's the type of question Melissa described. It asks, as president, how will your course of action be influenced by the Monroe Doctrine, the Bush Doctrine, the Commander-in-Chief's constitutional powers, and the evolution of presidential war powers since World War II? She puts a slash mark at each comma. Also put a slash at the and, which separates the third and fourth parts of the question. Another idea, circle each part. Whatever technique you use, just make sure your answer addresses each point.
So that's a good technique, to look at the commas. You can even, if you're a visual learner, put those slash marks in at those points. Sometimes you'll see 2 points without a comma in between them. You just have to make sure that you've covered that area.
In summary, develop good test-taking habits. Remember this: carefully read the instructions and the questions. Underline the action verbs. Identify point values so you'll know where to focus your time and effort. Keep track of the time and break down complex questions to ensure you answer each part.